All right. I just want to play a quick clip for you. Let me see. Present. Share system audio. Okay. All right, here we go.
It's amazing that you can love me like I am. Even when I can't, you still love me as I am. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, and I know I've put you through it. It's amazing that you can love me like I am.
Okay. All right. Hello, Rise Up Visionaries. I'm Susan May, and I'm here to guide you on a path to feeling connected, calm, and confident so we can create a better world together. I shared that video with you thanks to my friend, my dear friend Laura Swain. She introduced it to me, and I've been a little obsessed ever since. Love Me Like I Am by King and Country, and I'm going to come back to that. But it fits perfectly with today's message that I'm following up on that whole idea of fear versus love. I got my shirt on too. Do all things with love. I got love on the brain, and a lot of people do. I'm going to share some other people that have love on the brain and questions about it, or examples, or just how it plays out in the world. And so I want to start today by talking about the fact that some big truths, like big truth with a capital T, are instinctually or intuitively understood. We know them deep in our core, and maybe we don't have like a full intellectual or like logic based understanding of them, but we recognize them when we hear them or we see them. um, so some truths require us to believe there are things bigger than us as individuals. Okay, and you could even call that faith in something, faith in things that we can't see. um, and I believe this is one of those, that love is stronger than fear. That is one of those truths. Okay. And so last time I talked about how this choice of choosing love over fear is an individual choice, and how for many of us it has felt in the past couple of years like fear is winning because we see so much fear in the world and we feel it too. And so it's difficult to believe that love is winning or that it will win in the end. But there are so many examples when we open up our minds and our hearts and our eyes for us to see in the world. And so I want to give you a couple examples right now that I came across in this past week. If you do not follow Barry Brownstein yet, I love his writing. He's an excellent writer. And his recent essay was called The Power of Big Love. And the example was of a soldier named Ronnie Edmonds, who was taken as a prisoner of war during World War II. And he was the highest ranking officer. He was an American officer, and they were in a POW camp. And he was in charge of over 1,200 troops. So over 1,200 men were in his, like under his care, you could say. And there came a point where the Germans asked for him to turn over all of his Jewish troops. And this man, Ronnie Edmonds, refused. He said, nope, we're all going to line up together, all 1,200 of us. It turns out there were about 200, I think, soldiers who were Jewish. And he had to face those Nazi Germans. The person in charge put a gun to his head, and he still refused. That is how strong his love was. And they ended up, he kept his wits about him, and he said, if you shoot me, you will be charged for war crimes. And he didn't have to do it. And so this is an example, like Barry talks about how we all want to think like we would be that brave, but for most of us, we wouldn't. And personally, I think that visualizing being brave in situation is a great way for when they come up for us to embody that in the moment. That's just a little side note, but this is an example of big, big love winning. Now, what if that man had died? Would love have won that day? Um, I think this is where we need to take a long view and not a short view on things. Um, Maybe in that moment, fear won if he had died. But think of that example he showed to his soldiers of standing up for them. Another friend of mine, Brittany Schaefer, has a free ebook out right now, and it's Halloween themed, and it has analogies to like what's going on in the world for the past 2 years. I don't want to give away too much, but I will say a huge theme in her work is about love, the power of love and friendship. And I love that. I love the book. And so I'm going to drop a link for you to check that out. So last time I spoke of love being an individual choice on this path. And when I say that, I mean we need to continually shine the light back on ourselves in our own actions. And so when I look back on myself, I'm going to give you a personal example. In 2020, I was not in a place of love. I was in a place of fear. Um, Desperation, even like I was looking forward and seeing things going on in the world, and I was very scared. And so when I tried to start conversations with people that I loved, family or friends, it was in that place of fear. And like I said last time, it did not go well. And so that is one, you could say I have a regret, but the way of love is to forgive myself and to learn from that experience, and to learn that if I truly want to make a difference in the world, I have to remain in love. And it's not to say that if I had been in a more centered place that I would have changed the minds or the hearts of those people, but I would have been more detached from the outcome, and I would have come to them with a much calmer energy. And so when I think of love winning, it's like always looking internally at myself and never looking outward and expecting other people to do things that I'm not doing myself. So practically speaking, I truly believe that love is the more sustainable route than fear. For one reason, as humans, we are not meant to stay in a state of fear. It's not good for us. It's not good for our bodies biologically for us to be in a state of fear. And we really can't sustain it for super long stretches of time, which is why many people just revert to being ignorant. They're like, I just don't want to know anymore. I just want to go back to being normal. But you and I, as medical freedom advocates, have chosen to face forward and with our eyes wide open. So for us, it's really, really important that we choose that path of not being ignorant, but also choosing love. Um, because what I've seen in my own life and I see in other people's life is that love is sustainable. Love keeps me on the path of creativity, of making connections with people, of learning new things. When I'm in a fearful state, I'm contracted and I'm not in a great state to learn new things, to be creative in my problem solving. Okay, so we cannot remain in fear forever. And so I fall back on those things that there are three things. Philosophically, how do I want to live? Even if in my life it appears that love doesn't win because something horrible happens, because I stand up for what I believe in. Um, this is like an extreme example, but one of my favorite movies as a kid was Braveheart, right? And I think a lot of you would know that movie. And at the end, um, when he dies, the main character, and he screams freedom, right? Did love or fear win for him? And I think love won, and it's like taking this long view. Like, yes, there will be battles lost, but in the end, love will always win. So there's the philosophy of how do I want to live my life? Well, no matter how my life ends, in the end, I want to look back on it and say I lived in love as much as possible. Um, and then there's the practicality piece of it that I truly believe is more sustainable. It's better for me to be in this state. And so then I can be a positive impact on those around me, most importantly, my family. When I think about being in that state of desperation and fear in the past 2 years, we know that's not good for our children. So, practically speaking, I know it's better for me. And finally, I have a lot of faith in the power of love, and that is something that no one can ever take away from you. So, we have philosophy, we have practicality, and we have faith. So, those are my thoughts on the power of love. I hope it helps some of you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear examples in your life of when you were fearful or when you were able to turn your fear into love, and what beautiful things came from that. Remember, be bold, be brave, be you, because who else is there to be? I love you all, and I'll be back soon. Bye.